balance my phone here. I need to get like a phone stand or something. Right now it's just leaning up against my, that's just a bad angle because you're looking up at the tent. Oh well. I don't know how well this live stream is going to work out because I'll explain here in a minute. Um, I'm not going to, out of courtesy for the people that watch it later, I just go directly into the talking like people are here, because otherwise it's just a long awkward pause at the beginning and all that stuff. I mentioned it last live stream too. I got one person. Um, let's see. Hang on a second. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, I'm getting on the live stream myself. So this is going to be a juggling match. This is my new phone. My old phone is actually, so my new phone is still trying to upload the video from yesterday. So I have an hour of video from yesterday just from being in Irpapan. Right where I'm at like the crossroads between, if you go down this road here, I know you can't really see, but there's a, I'll turn this around. So there's a road right behind this fence right here, and it goes down to some really nice beach fishing resorty type place. And then that's the road that goes down this way, but there's also a road that just kind of hooks right behind this wall and goes off this way, and that's I guess you call it the main section of town. So I guess you would call that the main section of town. Anyway, so I was able to go both directions. Both directions are actually walking from here. This is a really nice campground. So I extended it for 2 more nights just to get more or less relaxation. So, hello everyone. I don't know who's in the, hey Flea, good morning Flea. Yeah, so that's what I decided to do. Even though the Wi-Fi, I mean, like I said, I started uploading a video like last night around 12 o'clock, and it is an hour video. It's about 30 gigs since it's shot in 4K. Hey, Doug. Hey, my friend Doug is here. Hey, Doug. We'll have a discussion. I saw what you wrote in the Telegram, and that's what I'm very curious about your insight on that, and because I'm in the same line as you. It's like, well, let's give everybody a background real quick. So I found a video. I won't mention which video it was, but it was on a like a bike packing type video, but it's like superbly done. You know what I mean by superbly done is, depending on your taste, regardless, she spent a lot of time in the filming where you put down your camera and then you run, and then you pretend you're just walking normal and stuff like this by the camera, and it gives a very, and then the narrative, you could tell that she spent a lot of time on the narrative. So the filming is great, the narrative's great, the editing's great, but it's supposed to be bike packing, right? It's supposed to be bicycle touring a country, and Vietnam. And I'm not saying anything against it. That's a lot of time and effort, but it makes you wonder. One, it's not the real life. It's not actually what it's going, because that requires so much time. Hey everyone, hit list everyone. I'm sorry, I'm rambling right off the bat, but it takes you out of a reality, because what you're actually looking at is you're thinking that this person's passing through the country and just enjoying the ride and stuff like this. But for what I've learned as a content creator, that's not the reality at all. You are living your journey through a little lens. Even with a DJI, you know, I just kind of swing it around and stuff, but I'm constantly having to think of, does this make a good shot? You know, should I film this? Oh, I should turn around, because by the time you see something, it's too late. You got to turn around, go back, all this. If you want any of those walk-by shots and stuff, you got to set down your camera, then walk by it like it's normal. It takes the reality of the person watching is not the same reality of what the person's experiencing as they're shooting the video. It's actually, I understand, like when I used to watch Dual Survivor, a lot of the people that were the experts, because a lot of them were experts, but they didn't like to show that they were on, because they're like, it's phony. And you get the same idea with the content creation. But when you step up the game and you're shooting at multiple angles. This all is time consuming. And then you have a narrative that obviously was sat down and thought over and hammed up. It was like hyperbole, hyperbolic, but in the dramatic way. Um, like milking it a little too much about the journey through life, and trying to become, you know. So it was interesting to get Doug's perspective, because Doug lives this life. And in my opinion, Doug is very knowledgeable. He spends the extra time to actually sit down and research these places that he's going, and he's been doing this for a second or two. You guys don't know Planet Doug? Go subscribe. He's awesome. Um, he's been a big help to me along my growth and learning. But Doug spends the actual time where I don't. I don't even research where I'm going. I just kind of point at the map, and if the wind's blowing in that direction, I head that direction. And let's see if I'm missing any comments here. You got a fridge? So, let's see. Yeah, so I really enjoyed your perspective. I'll get back to reading it on Telegram. It does have a feel, even being done at that professional level, of where you're like, okay, you're watching a movie, and when you watch a movie, you know a movie's not real. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying she's not out there doing the journey. I'm actually really curious of how long something like that takes. Was it her full 3 months in Vietnam? Because 3 months is the uh, the extended amount of stay. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it. But I don't want to put it on blast too bad, because I'm not trying to badmouth her. It's a very different style. But Doug was in kind of how I was feeling. He says it was a 2 month trip. Okay, so how many videos? Doug just said it was a 2 month trip. So she she did 2 months out of the three. Uh, um, how many videos did she get out of it? And I know that video was like an hour long, I think. But um, anyway, 4 videos in total was the whole journey. So I think they're an hour each, maybe. So yeah, you can. I guess, yeah, if that's what you're shooting for. Um, but now it goes into more like documentary, and it actually, you do see the little natural parts that pop through, though. Like sometimes when she's riding on a bicycle. I only started watching, I think, number 2 in the series right off the bat, or 3. I don't know which one I posted. Um, but the narrative is kind of, you're like, okay, there's a lot of time on a narrative. I don't trust when there's a lot of time on a narrative, but that's just a style of filming, and I don't disrespect it, because I used to love cinematography and stuff like that was done in the movies and stuff. Like, I loved the movie Saving Private Ryan. It was artistically done. I mean, it was very tense in the beginning, but everything from what's called a shake cam was done perfect. Where the shake cam, so what you have is you have the gimbal, which is a still cam, and those are great. So like you see in the early Born Identities, it was a lot of still cam. But when you shake a camera, it's supposed to bring a person into the action and make them give a feel of tension, so the person's more tense, right? But when you overdo it, you end up with the later Born Identities, which was done by a different director and stuff, where you can't even see the choreography of the fight scene, because the camera's shaking all the time. So like Saving Private Ryan was perfect, because they actually had the still cam, but like when you're seeing from like first person out of the eyes, the explosion goes off, everything goes silent, I mean, it was like beautifully done. So I'm not trying to knock like the cinematography that she's doing and stuff like this. It's awesome. It shows that, it's high quality. It's just, it's farther from realistic, because of the amount of, the amount of effort that has to go into repositioning the camera and all this, and the amount of time that you have to spend on the narrative, which the narrative is not as you go along. If it's not as you go along, then it's a little less. And yeah, so Doug was talking about he likes to see the more nitty gritty as it's happening and stuff. And yeah, they definitely have me and you. But uh, yeah, a steady cam. Yeah, it's a steady cam. Yeah, and there there is, like I said, there is like the shaking of the camera was perfectly done in Saving Private Ryan, and a lot of stuff was perfectly done in Saving Private Ryan. Uh, which is funny because I used to be a movie buff just because I used to like to watch how they filmed it and stuff. And one of the travelers once asked me, "What's your favorite movie?" So when a person asks you what their favorite movie is, they're not interested in the movie that they're interested in what type of choice that you make, because that tells you more about that person. So they're actually asking, more of a personal question, like, what type of person are you? And no offense, I mean, it's just something that people do. It's just realize what the psychology behind it is. And I kind of threw them off because my answer is that there's really good movies out there. The Dare Hunter. Okay. Um, Let me give a little build up to what mine is. There's certain movies out there. I mean, there's good movies in every genre. Especially the like for storytelling. Most of the dramatic movies are all good. Because there's no flashy. Sci-fi ones and stuff. They more rely upon um, the special effects. Like the Terminators were awesome. They were just awesome because the second movie in a series usually never tops the first. The first is usually always the best, but the Terminator somehow, exceeded that, where the next one was even better. But towards the end, they did fall apart. Once the girl Terminator came in, it was like, she's not a good character. Um, Nothing against girl Terminators. I'm just saying that was a bad movie, but they exceeded it. But that was also in the early days of Photoshop, where they were first doing computer animations, and it took something like it was $1 million a minute to do that through Photoshop. If you guys don't know, the first CGI was done in the abyss through Photoshop. That's where the big water, like worm, came in, and yeah, the water worm came into their ship and had a little face on it and all that. That was the first actually CGI really done, and then Terminator just knocked it out of the park. But so there's great movies in every genre, but once in a while there's a movie that comes out and it's just a piece of art. So you have great movies in drama, in action, in sci-fi, in comedy. But then one comes out and it doesn't fit in any of them. Kind of has a wrap up of all of them, but it stands upon itself because it's artwork. And that movie is Kung Fu Hustle. That is the best movie ever made, Kung Fu Hustle. Stephen Wong made some movies like Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer. He's just a great director, but Kung Fu Hustle is by far the best movie ever made. Listen, I love The Matrix. I love all these, but Kung Fu Hustle, I don't know. It was one of those movies I was in Las Vegas, um, and I working as a dealer and stuff like this. And Vegas is just all built around gambling. And if you're working as a dealer, pitching cards or dealing dice, um, then and you don't gamble, right? Because if you're a gambler, you're like a compulsive gambler. If you're working in the business and gambling, or you don't gamble at all, because you're just going to throw your money away, then there's very few things to do except for go to the bar and go to movies. So we went to movies all the time, and we just happened to go into, he's like, which movie? My roommate, me, would go out, and he's like, which movie you want to see? And I say, hey, let's try this one, Kung Fu Hustle. Right off the bat. It was like, a chick gets shot and goes flying across the street, and I'm like, wow, that was a crazy opener. Right, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of guys dancing, to some weird music with axes and stuff. I'm like, ah, this is weird. And then it's all subtitle, right off the bat. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Uh, so don't get me started. I could babble about Kung Fu Hustle for. Uh, yeah, there is. Okay, there's a. So a lot of that. So there's in. Okay, Doug says he loves Kung Fu Hustle. There's an alleyway in KL with a big wall art from Kung Fu Hustle. I didn't see that. Kung Fu Hustle referenced a lot of movies. Actually, they made so like a lot of the characters that they used and stuff like this were references to old shows and old. I mean, so if you Google, I mean, get on like YouTube and stuff. There's a guy that does it like an in-depth explanation of where a lot of these references come from, and you wouldn't even notice. But it was funny because so we had I bought the DVD, and the best DVD is like where you have the English dub. They did an outstanding English dub on Kung Fu Hustle, like excellent. Like you couldn't even tell it was dubbed. No like false flapping of the lips. It just perfectly synced into the movement of the lips and stuff. And but my sister didn't have her VCR was missing the remote, so all you could do is put the DVD in, and it would play, and you couldn't fast forward or nothing. You just had to let it go all the way through, right? And it was funny because my nephew, right, which he's I don't know, he's young but not like super young. Um, he was like, "Hey, can I watch this movie?" Right? And I was like, "Kung Fu Hustle, yeah, but it's subtitles." And he was like, "Okay." He put it in. He liked it so much. He went and got his friends. They came back, watched it. They went and got more friends. They came, and this is all subtitles. These are kids watching subtitles and freaking out about how good it is. I caught him on the fourth time in a row. I mean, it was like everybody at my sister's, living room, a bunch of kids just watching it. This is a great movie, and it was. It's a super awesome movie. Hey, my Rose channel. Hey, good morning. I'm just kind of blabbing away on a movie. Yeah, Kung Fu Us was my favorite. Um, yeah, it was just perfectly done. It was one of those things that was funny. The special effects, if you guys enjoy The Matrix, well, you're gonna know where they got it from because a lot of that basically I credit to Shaolin Soccer. That where you have the character in the middle and the camera goes around and stuff like this. That came for a lot from I credit Shaolin Soccer. I don't know actually who might have came first, but I know Shaolin Soccer was the early development of that still cam where you remember where Neo dodged the bullet and the cameras go around him. Well, Shaolin Soccer did the same thing, but with like kicking a soccer ball. So I'll have to research which one came first. Honestly, I always thought Shaolin Soccer came first, but I could be wrong. The Deer Hunter is a yeah, the Deer Hunter. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember if I remember much of the Deer Hunter. Uh, Good morning. Okay, yeah, I didn't miss anything. Well, it looks like I'm not doing too bad. So one phone right here. I wasn't sure how this bullet time. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out because I have one phone. I'm running off. Okay, this phone's uploading a video on one account, meaning the American Hobo account. But then, even though I'm uploading a video on it, I'm also jumped over to Hobo 2, American Hobo 2 channel, so I can keep in the live chat on that. And I'm trying to live stream on this one on the same account. So it's kind of, I'm running two phones off one account. I wasn't sure how it actually go over. So, um, yeah. So I have something uploading for tomorrow, or from yesterday. It's to look at everywhere here in Air Papan, both sides. Beautiful area. Like I said, I'm right on the wishbone, like the area in between at this campground. And it's a nice campground. So I extended for 2 more nights. even though I don't think my data card can actually handle too much more. But it's relaxing. I did look at some suggestions of where I should go, like up north and stuff, and there's some really good camping along the way. So the hotspot in the other logged into the what? It's Wi-Fi. Oh no, I'm not doing a hotspot. I'm running it off two different data cards. I have two different data cards running. I'm not actually doing the hotspot. So yeah, Flea mentioned. I'm pretty sure you guys can see the comments, but maybe not the people watching later. Flea mentioned one phone's on the hotspot and one. But I'm not running off my hotspot. I have one on the data card, right? And I started to upload the video from last night at midnight last night, and it's still uploading. It's only at like 30%, and I don't like that because that means I have to leave my phone on all night, and that's just like, 10 hours of processing time. The phone's not getting a break. And so yeah, I'm running off two different data cards. It's just I'm okay. How is the screen looking? Am I buffering? The reason why I ask is because of this. You see that? So I don't know if that's my phone, which phone is actually doing that. If my connection's good or bad or something. But anyway, yeah, resolution is low. That's what I thought. Like I said, one of my good audio, okay, playing good. Someone mentioned it was in 1080, and Flea was like, knock it down to 720. I don't know how to do that, if I'm able to do that on the cell phone or not. But I agree, yeah, knocking it down to 720 would probably be better, because most things I watch in 720 anyway, when I'm... No buffering. Okay, that must be this one then. Okay, that's no problem. What I'll do is I'll just put it on pause. Okay, so just a little bit of low resolution. That's not bad. Cool. On a train from. You're on a train right now, Hitlit? Here, I'm on a train from to Taipei. Taipei. Which country? You're in Taiwan? Wait, where's Taipei? Hey, I remember you mentioned that you're to Taipei. Where are you at, Hitlet? Taipei. I don't know. It's probably something I should know. Let's say 10 for me. Looks good. Yeah. Once you stop walking, data demand is lower. Oh, okay. So it's when I'm moving around. Oh, cool. Okay. So if I stay still, it's better. Oh, you guys used to work together. Okay. Yeah, I remember Hitlet came over from your channel, Doug. So Doug said, yeah, Taipei's in Taiwan. And yeah, I remember Hitlet mentioning that he was in Taiwan, but I wasn't sure. So you guys, I think Hitlet mentioned where you guys were working at once. I think he said something. Um, but that was I do read all the comments, by the way, and that's what I'm concerned with, because it's hard to actually do anything to I'm doing one of those struggles where I want to respond to everyone, but sometimes you're like, I just let it go. You don't need to. That's just a comment. You don't need to. So, but if I miss, it's been like longer and longer. Some of the comments I'm getting back to like a day, like it's been up for 24 hours or something like that, because they build up even with just 10 people. 10 people here and 10 people there is just like all of a sudden it builds up. So I do eventually get around to it, and I throw a heart on it at least, but I do read them all, and I do pay attention to the comments that are actually made. So like when someone mentions you, hey, you need to go here, I'll usually open up Google Maps to find out where they're talking about. And um, oh, do me a favor though, in the comments, if you guys are referencing something I said or did, right? It's really hard for me to understand what you're talking about. So put like a tag at where it's at, and like 00 dot 05 if it's at the very beginning or wherever, and that way I understand what you're talking about. Because a lot of times in the comments people say, well, you should have known better about that. I'm like, known better about what, or so it's like I'll put a heart on it, but sometimes I just don't know what you're talking about. So I'm like, so yeah, just put a timestamp on which part you're talking about. That way I can actually give you an honest response. And a lot of times it's probably just a mistake of something I said or something I did, or, you know, one person's like, hey, look at that cat behind you. So he put a timestamp on it. So I was like, I hit he's like, timestamp. And he's like, if you don't know how to do the timestamp, you just, whatever, it needs to be 4 digits with the 2 little dots in between. So if it's a minute 20, put 0, 1, the 2 dots, 2, 0, and that will take me directly to the spot. It'll turn blue, and it'll take me directly to the spot on the video where I can see what you're actually referencing. And when he was like, hey, look at that cat behind you, he put a timestamp, so I looked, and that cat was just mesmerized like a statue watching them birds. I knew what he was watching because when I panned around, you could see the birds. And uh, yeah, those were the swiftlets. The swiftlets all kind of start going home in the evening, and so they get very active. That's where the swiftlets are. What they do the farming to get the nests for birds. For the bird's nest soup and all that. That's made out of the saliva of the birds and stuff. Um, but those are the swiftlets, and they get really active right towards the evening because they're all congregating and getting ready to go home. So they are not nocturnal. There is one swiftlet that is a nocturnal swiftlet, but Malaysia doesn't have them. The reason why I know this is because swiftlets and bats have very, very similar flying patterns, right? But a swiftlet usually won't do that mid-stop back roll type thing that a bat will do. It'll fly up, stop, and turn around and go back. And so last night I had to double check because I was like, I was like, and I was like, hey, all these bats everywhere, right? And so I was like, I better make sure because I know the swiftlet, and I was like, someone's going to say, oh, those are swiftlets. So I researched to make sure, one, they're not nocturnal, and two, watch some videos to compare the flight patterns, and in overall, it was like, nah, these are bats. And the reason why the bats fly crazy is they're super good at catching bugs, and they're usually just snagging bugs out of the air right and left and stuff. And like I said, I love bats. I really do. Um, I'm used to the little small ones. These guys are getting pretty big. So, um, yeah. Well, guys, I don't know. So I'm going to be here at least 2 more days, just kind of kicking up my feet. I did most of the exploration yesterday. As soon as this video is up, I already have it in the playlist. So just look in season 4, is what I'm calling it. Season 4, Cheap Bicycle Through Malaysia playlist. And as soon as it's uploaded, even if it's not listed, because I still got to work on the thumbnail and title and all that, you can watch it. You can access it without it being public. So that's a trick. Someone, Ali and Flea, both, they have my playlist, or they access my playlist frequently. They were the ones that made it known to me. I was like, oh, how are you guys getting to it? Are you guys working for the CIA, spying on me? But I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, Flea definitely works for YouTube. He's over here making sure I'm actor proper. No, but I was wondering. It was like, and then it was like, oh, the playlist. So I googled if you can actually do the playlist. Even if it's unlisted and you don't share the link. And they're like, yeah, if you put the video, even though it's unlisted, in a playlist, then you're basically sharing it through the playlist. But Google still, I mean, YouTube still doesn't see it as public. So, it's uh, to do like this. Uh, yeah, echolocation. Uh, uh, yeah, I think bats that can't afford the sonar, they buy the echolocation. Just joking. Yeah, no, actually, bats are just like cool. I talked about them yesterday as our forms of entertainment as a children growing up. Like so Forest Hill, even though it's probably really expensive, Forest Hill, California. It was the smaller town off of, which was an offshoot of Auburn, California. Auburn, California is kind of like where they shot the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta, and they from shooting that movie and a clip here and there, some other movies, they realized, oh hell, we can buy the whole town for really cheap, and they could, because it was a small town back then. But then people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, um, uh, uh, who else was there? Was Bruce Willis? But they started buying property like between Lincoln and Auburn, like in the Applegate area, and because you could buy a big old piece of property and just so what used to be the old fruit stands that you pulled over and everything worked on an honor system. You go, oh, oranges and this and that, and you weigh it out and you say, okay, I owe this much, and you put that money in the jar, take out your change. Can't really do that anymore because people will just take the jar. But back then you could. You didn't have to man up. You didn't have to, like, you could just basically be like walking into a grocery shop and you just tally up everything yourself and leave the money on the counter and walk out with no employees. You could do stuff like that in the smaller towns back then. But yeah, it was like those were all up and down that road. And but then the more rich people came in and they bought their vacation home, the getaway, not really vacation because you don't vacation out there, but you hide out there. And I think John Travolta and stuff actually went out there and hid out there for a little bit, and but he discovered it through the movie when he was shooting it there, and so did everybody else. It just started. Hollywood was like, oh, we can buy property here for cheap and hide, and so anyway, that kind of from there, Auburn just kept growing. It was right off of 80, and which just caused Forest Hill, which was a very poor town, like dirt people, dirt and sticks people. And we just happened to be one of the poorest families uh, in a poor, so it's not bad. I mean, you're growing up around other poor people, but it's like, you know, um, you basically, yeah. John Wharton was the guy that came in and he wanted to buy the whole town, and he did because the town was so small, right? He started as half owner of what's called the Red and White grocery store. And the Red and White grocery store, this was like back in the days that your kid could go in and buy a bottle of whiskey for you and a pack of cigarettes if you just gave him a note. Because the store owner had your phone number anyway, and he would call you back at home if you had a phone, which, it was one of those on the wall type thing. And a store owner is going to see a kid's handwriting anyway. I mean, legally, you could probably not do that now, but it was back then. It was like, yeah, here. And he's like, okay, here's your whiskey and here's your cigarettes. Tell your mom hi for me, right? And that's just how it was in the small towns. Um, But at the same time, I remember kids who like trying to forge for a pack of cigarettes. Oh, you got your butt paddled for that because the store owner's like, okay, let me give your parents a call because you could tell from the handwriting, right, that it was a kid doing it, and so you had your rebellious kids even back then in the small towns. But yeah, it was growing up that way though. You try and figure out the natural things to do. Like we all went down to the river for fun. We went to church first, right? And then after church, everybody got in the cars and drove down to the river, and there was a bridge. And like by the age of 11, I think, you're jumping off the bridge. You know, I was jumping. First, you'd hang off the bridge, right, and let go and go into the water because there's three levels: the bottom, which you climb down to, the bottom rail, the middle rail, and then the top rail. The top rail was pretty high. Um, the bottom rail, maybe about, let's say, 3 stories high. So not too bad. Like, let's see, one, two, yeah, I'd say about 3 stories, and then you add another story upon. So if you're on the very top, you're about 5 stories up. That's about 50 feet off the water, I think. Um, but there was also what's called a rope swing, and it was funny because you had to. It's basically a tow strap for towing cars, right? With a 2x4 tied off to the bottom. They tie it onto the bridge, and you hold it tight, right? Basically, you swing it up. And as a kid, it was funny. He's like, okay, just make sure, because you're standing above the rocks. He's like, you see them rocks down there? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, jump off towards them. He goes, don't worry, right before you hit them, it'll swing you out and over the water. And it was like, you're doing this as a kid. So if I'm not wearing my helmet, guys, don't give me grief. I jumped off of bridges as a kid, and jumped off a big old off a bridge at some rocks with nothing but a toe strap between my legs. So, but I do wear my hat. So my helmet, I do wear a helmet. I just if it gets too hot, I have to take it off sometimes. So, and believe it or not, I've seen a lot of bike packers going helmetless. It's kind of weird. Like I know one guy that was doing a tour of Vietnam about the same time, Miles of Smiles or something. He wore a cowboy hat. The guy from Let's Go Cycling just wears one of those. The coolie hats. Um, which I found out is for catching the breeze underneath. Tom was like, "Yeah, it's for the catching the big brim, catch the breeze, stick it up under your head." And I was like, that makes sense now. I was wondering why they did that. So, anyway, guys. All right, so I'm gonna kick up my feet. I'm gonna try and get this video. It might take all day though because I'm pretty sure it's only at 30%. Let's see if I they're very hot. Sorry, I'm rambling. And YouTube. He was doing online live streaming before YouTube even existed. And I remember, right, lots of YouTube videos too on the street interviews. Oh, Hitless used to have, I jumped over to your channel, Hitless, when so you must have had a different channel then that I don't know of. Hitless is an old YouTuber, and before YouTube too. So, and there would be thousands of comments. Yeah, that's I'm already struggling with the comments. Felice says when a channel gets too big, there will be thousands of comments. Yeah, I know, and that's why a lot of people end up not. I'm not going to be doing this because I don't do it. They start offloading the workload on the people, like the editing. They stop doing their editing. They get they get also a manager that manages the comments and stuff. And so yeah, they offload the work, and then they focus just basically on producing. But I'm not really going to be doing that. The option is, I don't know what the option is. There's high priority chats and stuff, but yeah, I'll just try and keep up with it, and if it gets too much, then then I'll end up not being able to keep up with all the comments, but everybody's just going to have to understand. But I think we're a long ways from that right now. I spend a few hours on the comments every day. But if I just constantly, every time I sit down, try and check them, I can usually, it's when I stop checking them for a day or two. Like, I didn't get back to my Telegram for like 2 or 3 days. So I just checked it the other day. Uh, Video contrast. When a channel gets to, okay, yes, that's. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, like I said, I've got 2 days, and I can just go up. I think just 19 kilometers from here is a really good suggestion in a different location of camping. And I just kind of was looking at the coast. There's some really nice coast that's up north from here, and I mean I don't have to go far. So to find a campground, I have to juggle. Like here, I have a room right with AC and stuff. I can camp, but like I said, right now the weather is like super bipolar. Like the rain starts up like that, and then quits like that too. So um, it's only a matter of time before it hits me. But that's all right, as long as it's not super cold out. Then a little wet's not gonna hurt me. I mean, rain seems to follow me around. Like I said, like it's in love or something. They're hot. Playlist also gives you info about unavailable videos. Um, Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about. Also, just heads north or east. Oh, so yeah, I'm heading north. I started up at someone. Low asked if I'm going north or east Malaysia. I'm gonna complete the peninsula here on the east side, going north. But actually going crossing the water over to East Malaysia over there. Um, I'll have to catch it when I do Indonesia, I think. I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go along. For my main concern is just to complete the whole circle here first. Um, but I'm planning on hitting everything I haven't been to yet. I'm planning on going there. Uh, oh, well, I have to check on that. Yeah, it shows one deleted video. That's probably the one I try to upload. Um, Okay, I clicked on the delete and you just said it is processing the video. That's the one I'm trying to upload. Like I said, it's only at 37% after I started uploading around midnight last night. Yeah, so um, maybe I should take it off the playlist until it's completely. I don't know. I don't think that's affecting it, but okay. Well, keep me posted. Hit list on your if you're starting up a new channel. And run over here and I'll try and promote it as much as I can through my side too. You know, whatever I can post over here, the more coverage you get, the better. You know. Uh, yeah, I know. I understand. Actually, I opened Telegram. So I opened Telegram because people were having problems with the posting, the comments and stuff, and I was having a hard time sometimes keeping up with the comments because I was new and I didn't know how to keep up with the comments. So I just opened a Telegram for if you want to post something and more of a guarantee that I saw it and a better chance that it wouldn't be taken down. So that's why that Telegram, Teleboard, whatever. And I don't think you have to join each time, but you can. You can join them. And Telegram is very annoying about the notifications. So make sure you turn off the notifications because I mean they're super annoying. That's why most people will just like, no, I don't want to do this. But there's an option of turning off the notifications. You just have to check it manually. Um, Ustream. What was Ustream? Was that the early form of live stream before YouTube? I'm assuming that's what it was. Doug was asking, or not asking. He was. So Doug and Hitlist used to be friends, so worked together and stuff like that. And Hitlist is an old pioneer when it comes to live streams and stuff like that. Um, back in the days of Super 8. Live streaming with a Super 8. Yeah, running it off the old Commodore 64. I'm just joking. Okay. Indonesia, there aren't many ferry services. Big, probably cheapest to fly to. Um, yeah, I'm trying not to fly anymore. So, flying is one thing. So, it's probably cheaper to fly a lot, but I want to try and do as much ground travel as possible. And it doesn't mean it's cheaper. Sometimes the boat's going to be a little more expensive, especially if I'm bringing a bicycle with me. Um, I prefer ground, but that's why I'm just trying to stay the closest I can. So after 2 days here, I'm going to go ahead and hop on my bicycle, weather permitting. I'm just taking advantage of the fact that this is a cheap spot. Down in Mersing, and not quite, but this is also very beautiful. I have one trail that I haven't done yet, so if I'm lacking any type of material, there's a viewpoint, so I can go right down the road here, cut off to the trail and go up the trail. There's a few small mom and pop stores around here to pick up like soda and stuff. Go a little farther down, there's you'll see it on the video eventually. There's like a guy that was cooking up some hamburgers. Most of the town is actually shut down because I think it's off season, right? I asked them, and I was like, is there a holiday going on or something that I don't know of? And they're like, no, it's just some people, if they don't have the business, they'll just close up. Like if it's a slow day, close up shop, go home. And understandable. I worked in Carson City, which is a very, very small casino. Like it's Reno's here. Well, Lake Tahoe's over here, Reno's here, and Carson City's like right here. It's over by Silver City and stuff. Mark Twain was worked for the newspaper in Silver City when he was younger, before he became, you know, so. But it's still a very, very small town. People go there to retire from the business, from the casino business, and yeah, at age 30, I was like, well, it was like pit puppy. They called me pit puppy because I was the only person under 50 there. And I was just trying to get away from the gambling, you know, like Las Vegas and stuff. I started getting really bad anxiety, like social anxieties and stuff, and I was becoming a hardcore alcoholic. No, I was a hardcore alcoholic by this time. So I was like, yeah, the stress is too much. So I was trying to go to Reno, but Reno looked like a small Vegas to me. So I went to Carson City, the smallest. Like there's 4 casinos there. It was the Ormsby house before it closed down because of asbestos. I got a job, and a month later, he fired the whole, like everybody. The owner came in and just started crying. He's like, I gotta fire you all. He goes, I'll try and keep a few of you around, just that I know that have families and stuff, just to do cleanup work and stuff. He's like, but we have to close our doors because of asbestos. They found out through trying to remodel. And yeah, they had bad news, right? You try and remodel part of your casino to bring it up to date, and they're like, nope, you got to shut down everything. And I was like, ah. So I went up over to the Pinion Plaza. And Pinion Plaza was like right next to a golf like resort, so they try to play off that like they were part of it, but even though they weren't part of the golf resort. Um, but they're the same way. They're so small. It was like if no one was around by midnight, it was like shut the door, bring up the, bring up. They didn't really shut the door. They kept the slot machines open, but the pit itself, we would bring up and close down the pit, go home. You didn't have to, wait till the next shift, let day shift open up the pit and stuff. And yeah, that's how the smaller places work. If your business, there's no business, what's the point of hanging around? You can hang around and only one person comes in. That's not going to pay the bills of actually keeping your employees on and stuff. So there's a reason for closing down early. But all right, guys, that'll be my last ramble for the day. We're at 50 minutes already. I'm gonna go ahead and say hasta la bye bye, and yeah, 2 days, tonight, tomorrow night, and then I'll jump on the bicycle and start pedaling. I'll see what's going on with my video. Checking the playlist. So season 4 playlist, Cheap Bicycle Across Malaysia. As soon as it's done uploading, I'll leave it in there. I might take it out until it's done uploading. That way people are not trying to access it while it's still trying to upload. But as soon as it's fully uploaded, even before the thumbnail and stuff like that, I'll post it in there. And yeah, no mosquitoes, no cops, no weirdos. You got it, Allie. Indoors, I don't have to worry about any of those things. The only weirdo indoors there is me, and I can deal with myself sometimes, not always. But at least in a fight, I always know I'll win, right? When I fight myself. All right, guys, that's it. No mosquitoes, no cops, no weirdos. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me, guys. That was awesome.